This episode of the Turf District podcast is brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Life as a business owner can be hectic, to say the least. Alberta Blue Cross understands that. They offer flexible health, dental, life, and disability coverage for your employees. Even better, you can let your staff enroll and manage their coverage at any time and on any device. That makes life easier for them and for you. You've got this when it comes to group coverage for your small business, and Alberta Blue Cross has got your back. To learn more, explore your options, head to ab.bluecross.ca. Enjoy the show.
Hey, fellas, we ain't gonna ever back down from nobody. I don't care who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
It's time to huddle up. It's the Turf District podcast. Welcome back to the Turf District, where we huddle up to talk all things Edmonton Elks and the CFL. And we're a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported, and also a part of the Canadian Football Podcast Network. I'm Andrew, and welcome into the district tonight. Boy, we have another fun show, and we're trying a new setup tonight, so hopefully it sounds good. To give us your feedback right in the chat if you can. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat as well for our guest and for us. If we don't catch them during the show, we'll absolutely get to them in overtime. Thank you for joining us on YouTube Live, or of course, thank you for downloading the podcast, and make sure that you're sharing that link with all of your Elks and CFL friends so that we can get more people to join in the huddle. Let's bring in the gang this evening. Tonight, I just have myself and just one of our co-hosts, but it's the one that has the greatest horde ever. Superfan Mike. There's the Jantlers.
Yeah. Right, I got like, I got subscribe. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Nicely
the name
done.
for Jantlers. I had no idea those were.
Well,
Is that like Thor's goats? Like it has,
just like Thor's goats.
Since we last chatted, I've seen that movie twice.
I have seen it zero. So there you go. Maybe next week.
You're missing out. It is
next week.
Outstanding. Oh, it is so much fun. One of my faves. How are you, Superfan?
It's been good. We're talking about 2 wins in the last 3 games, which is pretty fantastic for us to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quite fun. Of course, we had Fan Day, which was also a lot of fun.
That was Fan Day, because of course I didn't get to make it out because I was driving down south. So
yes, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy getting around to interact with the players and everything else. It was not attended nearly as well as it has in the past. If I had to guess, maybe 400 or 500 people there, when it usually can be upwards of 10 times that. But okay. I mean, you're talking about it in the middle of summer versus in May or June, with training camp, and I didn't see a lot of advertising. Like usually it's on Global. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And it wasn't this time, at least that I've heard or seen. So, but I mean, everyone that was there had a great time. Got to talk with Trey Ford, my son.
I saw that.
Yeah, my son. That's his favorite player, because Trey came up and talked to us in the stands at training camp, and that was it. It was instant love. So he came out. He even managed to sign something for my son with his sling on, and that was it. He was beaming the rest of the time. So, I mean, anytime you can get a kid hooked like that, it's great.
Yeah, that's outstanding. That is fantastic. And now, before we bring our guest in, I will apologize for last week, as we, things came up and life gets in the way of the podcast.
Life happens.
But on the other hand, you know what? We didn't really want to talk about that game anyway. So now we can talk about a good game. And who did we bring in to chat with us? It is our good friend, Dave Jamieson. Welcome back to the show, Jaimo.
It's great to see you guys and be back with all of your followers and viewers. And I love this group. The minute I heard you guys were doing what you're doing, and I know I've been a guest too often. You'd remind me that, but I'm glad you have me back.
Oh, it's not too Jaimo, you could be on every week and we would still
No,
be we would still love it.
well, you're too kind. You're too kind.
Lots of good stories. Tell us a little bit. I mean, it's been since 2019 since we've had a
Yeah.
chance to have you on. Obviously, between all of the missed football and you needing some time, of course, for your health.
Hmm.
I mean, but we're glad you're back to talk green and gold. 'Cause
Thank you.
but so much has changed. There's a new team name. There's new people in the organization. As you mentioned, I have no hair. Basically, it's a whole new team. So what do you think of all the changes and where things have landed even before the season started this year?
Well, I'm of I've given it a lot of thought, and I was asked and very honored to help write the video for the helmet, the new old helmet.
Which was
And
awesome.
so they did a great job with it, and I just contributed some words and kind of the tone, and connected them with Jed Roberts, who did a wonderful job narrating it. you know, Change is inevitable. It should happen not just in football, it should happen in life, and we should embrace it where possible. I mean, it's different for me to go into that dressing room and into that building where once I was there and knew everybody, and now it's a young, vibrant staff led by Victor Cui. They've got, and I think Victor's vision for what this franchise can be, and really what the league can and should be, is very exciting. But times were not kind to the Edmonton Elks or even the name it previously operated under. Things
Mhm.
had gotten very dire. And while the record, would they be in first in the East, or tied for
Right.
first in the
Tied
Pretty
for
East
first,
close.
division?
yeah.
Okay. So you need perspective, right? And I know these are challenging times, both on the field and off with the crowds and stuff. But the fixes never come quickly enough for some. And while Edmonton enjoyed decades of success at the turnstile and on the field, it can go away pretty quickly. And a pandemic, took the kneecaps off a lot of businesses. And so the CFL was not immune, and it's going to take hard work to come back and remind people that they're there and they have a world class product, but it's not easy. And if it were easy, everyone would have found solutions a lot sooner than now. But I'm quite energized. I'm a season ticket holder again. I bought a pair of season tickets
Outstanding.
to go and just be a fan. And I'm on the Alumni Association. I'm one of the directors, but I wanted to be a fan again and just go to Commonwealth and sit up high and just enjoy and just kind of drink in that experience again. And so I'm really excited to what's coming in Winnipeg here and all that stuff. So anyhow, I'm a fan again, but a fan, I guess, with some privileges.
Yeah.
And
You
it's not like
deserve,
I don't want to be that guy, but it's and I bought my shirt and I'm ready to go.
you deserve all the privileges, Jaimo.
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
said
yeah.
that for years. Come on
That
now.
logo just looks good on everybody, doesn't it? It's awesome.
Mhm.
It does.
So, I mean, we've seen a lot of the attendance issues that are happening to the team, but across the league and in fact across sport. Um, you have a unique perspective given your background. I mean, with communications and the marketing you did for the team itself. What other steps do you see that maybe you haven't seen yet that might be needed to bring the fans back?
Well, and this is sort of a philosophical thing, and even though I am the old guy on this, event tonight, I hope that I'm not, that guy that says, well, in my day, we did it this way. Well, when in my day, in our day, it was a decidedly different city.
Hmm.
The influence of social media and all of the tools that go along with that, the various platforms didn't exist, or they were in their infancy. So what I see now from the Elks and led by Victor and a very talented young staff, and they've got a great videographer, and they are using the tools of now to communicate with a fan base that they're hoping to connect with. And even, there are, just because you're of a certain age doesn't mean you're not on Twitter or not on Facebook or not on,
Hmm.
you're there, and hopefully you're getting their message. The only thing I might add to that is I don't think you can completely forsake traditional media like a billboard. To be driving
sure.
down a stony plain and seeing the Elks message, whatever, Game Friday, that kind of thing. I still think that there's a place for that.
Hmm.
That there is still a place for, as you mentioned, with Fan Day and seeing that on global
Right.
television. And I understand there's fiscal pressure on the team. I mean, they've been, their revenues have been severely diminished, and so I appreciate that. But I just don't think everything can be marketed with a hashtag.
Right.
And I while I at the same time maintaining that is vital, it's central to whatever your approach and your tactics are going to be. I still think there needs to be a healthy mix of the other if you can make it work financially.
Well, and there needs to be a poster that says "Defend the Turf" because that we all
Yeah,
know
but
that was our
I know,
favorite
or
one ever.
and a fridge magnet. Yes,
That's
Yes.
fridge magnet.
Jaimo,
Yes, I know.
come on, use your powers of persuasion and get the fridge magnet back, will you? Because that's the one that's
God,
the
if
one we
that's
need
my
from you.
if that's my legacy as a fridge magnet, then clearly I didn't do nearly enough to master the portfolio, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, we're fans either way.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned it. You're doing a bit more with the alumni now. So
Yes.
tell us kind of how that's going and kind of what's going on the alumni side.
Well, it's a lot of fun. And I was a member. I've been a member for I'm guessing a little bit, maybe 5 years, but just a member at large. And was asked a couple of years ago if I would consider becoming a director, and I was approved. And there had for over a few years been an attempt to get a website built and brought to life. And so I put up my hand foolishly and said, well, I mean, sure, I'll dive in, and brought it to. I mean, the hard work, the real work is done by a gentleman named Joe Gunnis who does the CFL Alumni Association, and I picked up the portfolio, and then I got sick, and so there was, I was trying to do it through, my post surgery and my radiation, all that stuff. So a lot, I could have moved it along. We could have moved it along quicker if I hadn't gotten ill. So footballalumni.ca is the website, and it's definitely a work in progress, but we needed somewhere to live online, and we have a Twitter account, and we will add to the arsenal, if you will. But it's just a way of connecting, and and again, the organization was started, I think, in '86, and it started out really, football and friendship. And it was a way for players after their career to stay connected to the team, also provide support to those in need, players in need. And I think really the James Bell story, which you guys both know well, was a real catalyst for the Alumni Association. And so many years later, here we are, and really kind of reimagining the group. There's a lot of younger individuals: Mark Tobert, Rod Connett, Mookie Mitchell is our president. And there were other players, and Hector Pache is still involved, thank goodness, because he's vital to it. Bain Nori is still there. And so, it's an alumni association that I think is going to try to its best to continue the work that it does. And I think the most important one, the most enduring, is player support. If an individual who played in Edmonton might need a hand in whatever it might be, we're there, and to the best of our ability, we'll certainly help them, get connected to the resources. And when players' careers end, they often end quickly, and football exacts a heavy toll on the human body. It really does. It's a wonderful sport, and we want everyone to come out of it healthy and in all facets, but that sometimes isn't the case. And so we're there and provide to the best of our ability at least some resources and some help to those who need it.
Well, and most importantly, when you're on there now, can you connect us to Marco Sincar? No, yeah, I'm just kidding.
Is he the unicorn guest for you guys? Is he someone you're looking
he's
for?
For Andrew, yeah.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
that is absolutely on the
Well,
list of unicorns. So we
well, I
might
know
have to talk.
guys. I know. Let's just say I know people who know people, and we'll see what we can do.
Let's get our people
Fantastic.
chatting. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, super fan. We got any fan questions that we can go through before we start tackling some news on the team?
Absolutely. We got a few in here. Coach Vic is asking, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on the vibrant social media interactions that Victor Cui is promoting?
Oh, I think he is really skilled at communicating with his audience, with the audience, their audience. Victor has a broad vision that this is the team that plays in Edmonton, but the brand is national and international, global, if you will. And he's a guy who's worked in Singapore, obviously, and we know his story well about one championship, and so he thinks big. And so I wouldn't imagine that him coming here, um, or coming to the Edmonton Elks would, shrink that vision. He's still going to think, well, how can I make this bigger and reach more people? And there are lots of people who've grown up in Edmonton, and he was one of them who was here and then moved away and then has returned. And so he wants to try and connect to as many people. And even if you're not in the stands at Commonwealth, you can be an Elks advocate, and you can
Mhm.
be a fan, and you can be a fan from a distance. And so I think what the tactics he's using, I'd love to say that, if I were, 25, 30 years younger, I would be doing the same thing. But he's got a lot of skill in that area, and you can tell. And it's really what am very impressed with is it's very much his voice. It's an authentic voice. This isn't somebody who's having a bot farm do it for him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
True. So true.
Very
Yeah.
organic for sure.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
that way to me. It feels real. Like you can tell the contrived ones, right? From
Right.
the desk of the president. I mean, oh
Yeah.
God, okay, sure. But when you see him sitting in the stands at IG Fields, and that's him sitting in the stands and enjoying it from a fan's perspective. So I get that, and I respect that.
Doesn't have all of his tweets ended with 30.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
And I think you're right though, Jaimo, in that it's genuine too. Like
Yeah,
it
it
truly
feels
feels genuine. Yeah. So that's
yes,
a nice
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, we got Chris Agar's asking, of the traditional media advertising you'd like to see more focus on, what are your top picks?
Well, in 12 to 14 years I was with the club, and you guys, we've talked about this before. I did the marketing and the advertising
Mhm.
along with the communications. Um, and the if you will, the sort of the toolkit was the staples. I mean, print back then, and Sun and Journal, and it was Global Television. We had a partnership with, and we had billboards, both static and then digital. We also had transit, website. I mean, it's not really kind of worth talking about because again, all of it in its infancy. Radio, heavy radio user, and not just on the broadcast, and frequency. I mean, I don't want to get too media nerd here, but frequency. You can't tell people enough when you only do business. I always, and people hated it after a while. They're like, "Yeah, okay, we get it, Dave." I said, "We're a mattress store, and we only sell mattresses 10 times a year.
Right.
So we know it's Friday night. We're playing Winnipeg, but we got to beat people over the head with it." And so in the 4 or 5 days leading up to a game, because I mean, you only got so much budget, you can't
Right.
do every day of every in a week. Then you got to hammer them, and you got to be on the various radio stations. And but again, there will be someone listening going, "Yeah, old man, that worked back then." But I know it's a fractured universe. It's a fractured media landscape. But I sort of would live in the fear of God. Who didn't we touch this week? And I know
Right.
they've got a great partnership with the Chorus and 630 Chad and all the stations there, and with Global and with TSN. And I know they're working it. I mean, I pay attention to that stuff still.
Sure.
And even though I work at Bell, well, not even though, I mean, Bell Media is a huge part of the Canadian Football League,
Yep.
Yeah.
but we're not the rights holder of the Elks. I pay attention to that. So, to answer the question, I mean, I would have billboards. I mean, this is still a city that loves to drive,
Yeah.
and that's how we get around. I mean, and so I think a big board on Stony Plain or wherever, you look at big digital boards. I think those things matter. Again, it's eyeballs, eyeballs, eyeballs. Where are you going to get them? If you're driving, you're likely not on Twitter, or at least I hope you're not.
Yeah,
You know,
guy I was driving behind today. Yeah, I think I might
oh,
have been. But
yeah,
yeah, I think with the graphic designer they've got most recently, I don't know if it's the same person and they just sort of taken the shackles off or what, but they've been some really creative ideas with
Oh yeah,
the posters before every game, where it was the bird in the cage for the Alouettes game, and the
it's
donkey or
really
the
creative, and
yeah.
I think Victor, I think has allowed his staff, at least from my vantage point. I don't have any proof on this, but it just looks like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, let's not be
Yeah.
safe.
He's
Let's
empowered them
push.
for sure.
Right, and let's push stuff here, because again, you have very few opportunities to try and make budget, and it's hard at, even in the best of financial times, and clearly we're not. So I like the idea that he's done that, and I've noticed that as well.
Well, and I remember you telling us before, it's like every day there was a different player on the, sitting at chorus or sitting at global or
Yeah.
whatever, saying, "Hey, this is what's going on," and find that player and find that attachment, right, to be able to get out
Yes,
there. And maybe now that's all in videos. Is that all in reels? Is that all in God forbid I say it, TikTok, or is it something, but you just have that moment of, hey, this is this guy that connects you and then you want to go, right? So
well, yeah,
but
I
every
think
day there's got to be something that says, remember, this is us and see you Friday, right?
it's storytelling, and it's the frequency of telling the story. And there are great stories to tell. I mean, you will never be bored meeting the players in a CFL locker room because of all what they have. But our attention span is so small now. It's so, again, I use the term fractured. You don't
Yeah.
get very long to grab somebody and say, "Hey, we're open for business." People go, "Well,
Yeah.
look at Garth Brooks. He sold out this." And they, yeah, but Garth Brooks isn't playing 18 games a year or 10 games a year at the same stadium. Now, granted, you can say he sold out, Rexall or Rogers or whatever it was, but this is different. I mean, this is, an organization that's been around for what, 70, is this 76 years this year? 77,
74.
74, sorry.
Yeah, or
Okay,
73, yeah.
well, again, you have to sort of treat yourself as, hey, we're new, and you got to keep
Yeah.
raising your hand and trying to grab attention.
Yeah. Say, look at us,
Absolutely.
look at us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now speaking of great stories,
Mhm.
that was an excellent segue. We're gonna get into some Elks news because we haven't talked about this, and I kind of saved it to talk to you about because
All right.
Ricky Ray is going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame this year, and
Yes.
an amazing induction and well deserved. But and I hope he goes in all in green and gold, even though I know he won't, but he should. But I have a feeling that you might have a Ricky Ray story or two for us. And because it's story time with Jaimo, this is the time to talk.
All right. I mean, the football side of Rick has been well told and well documented. And you guys, the path to the '05 Cup, and you know what it was like in '02, and he got there as a rookie, and how he arrived on the scene, and I, I'll get to the stories which aren't necessarily about what he did on the field, because everyone knows what he did on the field. But I can remember still, and I talked to him not that long ago to congratulate him on the induction. He came to the office, the old office, like it was right before training camp, and he was a late arrival. I mean, he was there in time to start camp, but I mean, I think Rick Warman was working with the quarterbacks who were coming to camp, and Ricky arrived, came to the old office, and I remember him coming in, young guy with hair, and he had a
I remember
knapsack,
those
and
days.
he had a knapsack. He might have had a suitcase. I'm not sure, but he was hustling down the hall. And I remember turning to Jamie Cartmell, who's now with the head of comms for the Oilers, who was working with him then. And I said, "Who and what is a Ricky Ray?" Because we laughed because it sounded like the name you would give a quarterback in one of those Lifetime movies, that
Right.
make you feel good. Ricky Ray. We're like, that can't be his real name. Like, did he get it from the XFL and he kept it
And his hometown for that matter,
in
too.
his hometown and Happy Camp? We said, like, this is not for real.
And you're like,
And then so
the
off
other
we
guy says,
go.
well, he's the chip delivery guy. Yeah.
Right. Well, then that story, I
Yeah.
mean, that whole thing was just, I mean, God, we had chips. I mean, we had chips upon chips upon chips. Remember that story breaking? I think Vicky Hall was the one who wrote that originally, or somehow ferreted out that story And then we had the poster and Frito Ray. And I mean, there was just a lot of good stuff going on around him. But there's two stories. I mean, it was a very, I'll say innocent, but just a very, a guy with no airs, no arrogance. And his first year, we sent him out to do read-in week. So he shows up with a bat knapsack. I mean, again, he looked like he was, third year sociology at Happy Camp, junior college. And he rolls out. We send him off to a school, and it might have been in, sort of the surrounding area of the stadium. And he comes back. He brings books. God bless him. They get him to the school, and they pull out the hockey sweater for him to read. Like, Mr. Ray, would you? And there he is. And there's a picture somewhere of him surrounded by little kids. And the hockey sweater, I mean, I think we all know it. Your viewers will certainly know it. Well, Ricky's not familiar at all with Maurice Richard.
Right.
and calls him Morris Richard. And so he comes back, and he's like, comes and sits in our office, and he's like, hey, Rick, how'd it go? And it's your first time reading week. Thanks for doing it. We're talking. And he goes, hey, who is Morris Richard? I said, okay. Welcome. We're going to have to run through some things in Canada for you. That's Maurice Richard. And stop calling it ice hockey. Because we get it. Like, and I would say to him and other Americans, you don't need the ice. Like, we all assume, we're not, like, this is not grass hockey. No one's going to go, oh, grass hockey, ice hockey. Wow, you had me confused. Yeah. I said, here, it's just hockey. So stop it with the ice. He's like, okay. And I mean, he would have those conversations with Rick, and you never knew if he was really playing you, because he's really smart. But he'd say, hey, we sent him to his first Oilers game. I'd never seen an NHL game. He goes, I have a question for you, Jaimo. I said, go ahead, number 15. What is it? He goes, why do they pass the puck around so much? Like, if you get it, why don't you just shoot it? And it got really quiet, and we stared at each other, and I said, why don't you do that? Like, why don't you just throw it for the end zone every time? Just heave it.
Or
someone will go
yourself.
and get it. Yeah. Ed Hervey will run under it, won't he? I said, there's kind of like, it's not just guys faking it out there, although maybe the Oilers back then were, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Morris Richard. And there was also another, and I think it's captured in Jason Johnson's documentary he did, and you guys probably remember it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I came in the room one day, and there's the three smartest guys in the room are, it's Johnson, it's Ray. I don't think Moss was there. I could be wrong. Maybe it was Moss.
In the documentaries there, yeah.
Moss is there. Okay. And these three wizards are sitting there at their locker, and they are staring. Someone has sent an autograph request to Ricky. We used to get lots of cards, and can you sign this? And I would take them over to the dressing room, and Ricky would sign them, and I'd take them back, and Marie Scott, our beloved receptionist, would send them back. And so I go in one day, and these guys are sitting there, and they're puzzling over this letter. And I go, what are you guys doing? Jaimo, come on over here, check this out. What is a SACE? And I said, I'm looking at them, and I go, self-addressed stamp envelope. I went, there's a reason we can't move the ball. Because you three guys are the quarterbacks. Like, are you serious? And they're just like, wow, SACE, huh? And I go, yeah, SACE. Sign the card. You go have a good day, and I hope football goes well for you. Because, geez, I mean, there were just days where you go, wow, I can't believe we win more than we lose. Mind you, we had other quarterbacks where you could legitimately go, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll do the best we can.
I was going to say there's a few on that list, I feel. Yeah.
It's just, it was hard for me to remember that, like, he came in as the fourth stringer. I mean, we had Keith Smith was injured, and then we had Leon Murray ahead of him on the chart when he came in.
Leon Murray.
Yeah.
Leon Murray. Yeah.
And then he just won his way onto the team. That was it.
Well, it was funny when you think about it, because there was a buzz at camp early. And those who know, and I'm not one of them, But I'm walking around. I mean, to me, okay, you throw the ball and it goes somewhere and someone catches it, and I guess that's good.
Go somewhere.
But there were people, and guys like Hugh Campbell and Jack Parker standing there, kind of having or whomever was hanging around, and you can hear the conversations. You just you're moving around. I'm checking stuff, and I'm stop and talk with someone, and you can start to hear people saying, "Hey, 15, check this guy out." And when people lean in when someone's about to do something, and someone who's good, they go, "Oh, I'd like to see this." You started more of that happening, right? And just it happened really organically, quite fast. And he had a staunch advocate in Rick Warman, who, and Rick was a great promoter, both self-promoter and promoter of guys he liked. And yeah, Ricky was, I think of all the players that, and there's so many that I was really, honored and blessed to be around. When you think that, we were there right at the ground floor, it's pretty incredible, pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was outstanding. We'll get more stories from you when we get into
Yeah.
overtime.
Yeah.
So I do we were talking about the team doing stuff to kind of get out in the public eye again.
Yeah.
One of the stories that got released is Project 2 Million.
Yes.
The Elks giving back to 20 local not-for-profit organizations over the next year. Sounds like an amazing project and another initiative that is winning over hearts with Victor Cui again, because hey, you're a community-based team, give back to the
Yes.
community. And I love this. I love everything about this.
That is essential, that they have a power in their brand, the Elks brand. And Victor clearly has taken a look at all of the things, assets. What do the Elks have? Well, they have prominence, and they have, they are certainly a category unto themselves. They're the only professional football team. They have an audience, both here in the stands and people that follow and the various things that they follow them on. And to your point, they are a community-owned team, and you got to walk differently, you got to talk differently, and you need to be responsive to the community. This isn't private ownership that could go, yeah, well, whatever. And Edmonton and this football team have a relationship that really kind of goes well beyond first downs and field goals and touchdowns. And it's I think Victor is a smart guy. He's a very savvy business person, and he has realized that community connection is vital. Not just to, it's not about, this one is not selling people. This isn't handout, buy a ticket to see us take on Ottawa. That isn't, but this is, building or buttressing the brand in a way, however, that is more good for those organizations that are on the, part of this Project 2 Million. And if you, at the end of the day, you feel good about this and you feel good about the Elks, that's good for the brand. And maybe you'll think one day, hey, I should go to a game. It's soft,
Right.
like it's impactful, but it's not a hard sell.
Yeah, I agree. And I just love, I love the connection. Just connect whichever way you're going to connect. And this is the way to connect. So I really like that. All right. We've got a little bit of roster news before we talk about the game. Last week, a trade happened. Did you hear about that, Superfan?
I think I might have.
You might have, yeah. Nick Arbuckle off to Ottawa for a 4th round draft pick. Was anybody on this call shocked that this happened?
No, not at all. I mean,
No.
We've heard rumors of them shopping him for, since Jones came on at this point. And we're talking about a guy that had never played a snap for the team at this point. So we gave up a lot for him, and then we ended up paying another $100,000 as a bonus. So, you had to try him. And he seemed to be great in camp, but just something when the lights came on and you were facing people that are trying to knock your head off, it just wasn't working in the system, I don't think.
I found him to be, is there a place for Nick Arbuckle on a team somewhere? Sure, there is.
Yes.
But he wouldn't be a guy, if I needed to win a game, that I would necessarily want at the controls. Needed to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Go in an emergency, go in either down by a bunch or up by a bunch or whatever. And he clearly isn't the future for this team. As soon as Trey Ford did what he did in Hamilton, and And you got to remember, like in football, and like in a lot of businesses, if you're not somebody's guy or gal, in
Mhm.
other words, did the boss discover you? Do you have a pre-existing relationship? And in football, that matters a lot.
Sure.
Good players get moved out because you're not my guy.
Right.
Okay, then you bring in your guy, and we wish you all the best. And Nick Arbuckle was part of the old furniture that was in the office. And even though he hadn't been here long, I mean, I think a lot of people sort of thought, okay, well, it was always sort of that guy. Like, God, if he got a chance to run his own team and stuff, won't he come? And he comes from the Calgary factory.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
not everybody that comes down the chute at the Hufnagel factory works out well. Many do, but not everyone.
Yeah. That's
Not
fair.
everyone that leaves, I find. Like a lot of people that
Yeah,
sort of
that's fair.
succeed,
Yeah.
either Bo Levi's injured or for that matter, Bo Levi. Like they all seem to do well, and we have no idea what Bo Levi Mitchell would be like in a Toronto system or a Vancouver, whoever.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
it's very
always
true.
played under that Hufnagel system. So
Yeah, no, so that's well, I wish him all the best. I really
yeah,
do.
absolutely.
I like Nick.
Great
I
dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So but it opens up for us to find that guy who is going to lead the team next. And I think once he's healthy, that could be Trey Ford.
Well,
On the other hand,
yeah,
sorry, go
and
ahead.
I just sorry to jump in, Andrew, but when someone asked me doing my radio show TSN 1260, comparisons Trey Ford, and I didn't think it was sort of a I gave it a moment's thought, which is more than I give most of the time to things that I spew on the radio. And I thought, I see some Elon Green. And
Okay.
and I know there may be someone who goes, or people who think, oh well, Nealon. Well, Nealon, when he got the job, I mean, remember he arrived from Toronto.
Yep.
Don liked him, so he
Mhm.
was Don's guy.
He was.
And Trey Ford is Chris Jones's guy. And Don really wanted to may have it work with Nealon, and Nealon lasted longer than Don did, ironically. But Nealon had the requisite amount of athleticism. Now, whether he had all of the necessary tools to be a consistent quarterback, but God, he was interesting.
It's very true.
He
It's
was
very
interesting. Yeah.
I'll give you that. Now, there's another guy that in a picture we found out might be coming to the team at some point this past
Well,
week. I mean, also a Jones guy, because we know he's traded for him once before. The agenda that was posted in the photo op that said Vernon Adams trade. Now, I don't believe that was not Victor Quee's agenda. I
no,
think
I don't think
we
so.
kind of figured out that was definitely on the Montreal side, and the picture came down rather quickly. But just give me your 2 cents on that, Dave. What do you think? Do you think that there's something actually being talked about in the background?
Well, I mean, if you saw the Montreal Alouettes play, and I don't lay this at Trevor Harris's feet. I mean, they've got some things going on there.
They're called
Vernon
penalties.
Adams' descent, because Kahari Jones was obviously a very strong advocate of his and probably worked very well with him based on all that you heard, is really kind of unsettling to see, because I thought Vernon Adams could really settle in and do some good stuff in this league. There's enough, you saw enough game from him that you thought, oh, maybe they've got a solution. I mean, they've gone through 400 quarterbacks since Anthony Calvillo. I mean,
Give or take.
Matthew Schultz and Antonio Pipka. I mean, we could be here a while, right? So, is there something there? I mean, I don't know. I don't know Gary Stern at all. Maybe he goes into every meeting with all of the things that the organization, has to do or should do or whatever. And then maybe he just starts reading at the top and goes to the bottom. Hey, Vernon Adams. And you're like, no, we're pretty good. We got Bo Levi Mitchell next. I don't know how he does his meetings. But if there is something there, I mean, I'd be intrigued. But what are they trying to do? Like, to get Trey Ford healthy and then you just lock in would be my take.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'm sure they've got an idea of how they want to approach Trey Ford, because they got an athlete there.
Yeah.
Now, is he enough of a quarterback to be a quarterback at this level? I don't know that well enough. I don't know what's all that's required. I've been around a bunch, but they've got something there, I believe.
Yeah, could he be a Tracy Ham? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that seemed to work out quite well for him.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it
Yeah.
sure did. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, a couple other things there on the Elks roster. They did sign linebacker Trey Watson from Montreal, and he got through what 3/4 of a game before he got hurt because
He
it's
had a
the
great
Elks.
game.
He did.
Yeah.
He had a great game until he got hurt. They bring back defensive back Malik Saunier, who was then playing, I believe, half, or was he playing corner? He was playing
No,
corner.
he's
was
playing
he not?
corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
They moved to
And
Coot
then
inside.
exactly. And quarterback Michael Beaudry came back. They then yesterday signed running back Malik Irons and quarterback Ben Holmes. They do release Jalen Collins, which was for me a little bit of a surprise, but yet that I know some of these other guys are getting healthy, and we'll talk about that in just a mere moment. But let's get into the game. So it's been a couple of weeks since we've been on. I know we missed the game last week. There was a game. There was rain. Whatever. The most important part is the Elks won last week. That's
Woo!
what I want to talk about. Massive come from behind win to win 32-31 over the Montreal Alouettes. Tough second quarter for sure. Like
Yes.
it definitely took a lot out of them then. But then 20 unanswered points as they get into the third quarter and through the fourth. Many thanks as well to Wes Sutton for helping us out with that. We really appreciate him. It was a
Our
tough
best
night.
offensive player.
Right, exactly. If you're wearing 37,
Yes.
it was maybe not your greatest night.
Mhm.
Montreal gives up 2 fields worth of penalties, and we say thank you very much. Now, there was
Merci.
other parts to this game. Yeah, Correct.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Title of the podcast, Merci, Alouettes. All right, so there was other good things in this game, though, Jaimo. What else did you see in the game that stood out to you?
Ed Gainey's interception. I like that
beautiful.
a great deal.
Got off the schneid.
I think Taylor Cornelius did some things there, and I'm not here to anoint starters. It's not my job. We know that he can throw the ball the length of the field. That is not in question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you protect the ball? Can you not make the throw you think you can make based on your arm strength? That's often it, right? Can I just throw it out or go ultra safe, or just don't try to force everything, which I think we saw last year with him.
Right.
Yep.
Like, by God, I'm going to throw this ball right through you. Well, that's not what was required there. What we needed was a softer touch on a crossing route, and he throws it in like it's coming from a gun. But that said, now he's the guy of record when they win. Can they just build off this until they can get Trey Ford healthy? Is there something there with that duo? And you've got Kyle Loxley doing some good stuff too. So, I've never seen a situation like this, but we're in a different time. And now with having 2 quarterbacks on the field, and, where it's not like before, as you guys know, it was very set, starter, backup, and a third. Okay. Yeah, there you have it. Now it's a very fluid situation, and it just takes some getting used to. But I've never seen it sort of this really, and I'll use the term again, fluid as to who the starter is. Like, it can be truly a game time decision.
Absolutely. I wonder if they used Cornelius's arm this week to put it into those 50-50 ball situations, and that's where we ended up with a lot of the defensive pass interference, because Lawler fights for the ball.
Yes, he does.
There 3 DPI calls in that second half. If you had to guess, how many would you, if Sutton was nowhere near him, how many of those do you think Lawler would have caught? And because there's at least 2 that I can think of that if there wasn't DPI, he would have caught it anyway. Like, it was.
I was going to say 2.
Right. So it's amazing that maybe they're using that to the strength of Kenny Lawler as well, to, put it down the field and let him go get it. And he earned his paycheck that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Mike, what do you got for us for this one?
For some strengths, like I said, Trey Watson, I thought had a pretty solid game while he was there. Great if he
Yes.
would have been able to play a whole game, but maybe we'll see number 45 coming in next game, so that'll be great. Like you
Yeah.
said, Lawler, 92 yards receiving plus 108 yards in those 3 DPI calls. So we're
Crazy.
talking 200 yards essentially.
Mhm.
And while you think he would have caught 2, maybe he catches all 3, and then that is a 200-yard game. It's been a while since they've had one of those. Loxley was great. I thought Cornelius had a decent game. One person who probably doesn't show up as much on the stat sheet is Adam Konar. I thought
Yeah.
he's had quietly a pretty fantastic season. To me, probably his best season since he's been in the league. He's always around the ball, and he seems to really have settled in to that position. Then when Watson was hurt, he moved over and was just as effective. I thought he had a great game. And then
And a big
lastly,
INT too.
yeah, absolutely. That INT
Yeah.
was great. And then Scott Hutter, speaking of turnovers, he had the fumble recovery as well
Yes.
as 8 tackles. He led the team in tackles and 2 special teams tackles. A guy that, again, does not get a whole lot of press, but I think he's been playing outstanding since the first game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And speaking of people that don't get a lot of press, the O-line was better this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Much better
Yep.
this game. They were actually opening some holes for Beatty. He got the touchdown on a big hole through the middle. And I just found that they were given Taylor. I mean, Taylor had to run around a few times for sure,
Yep.
but
But no sacks.
overall, I thought they did much better, and there wasn't a lot of comment on it when there really should have been. Although I guess that's one of those things, right? When the O-line plays well, you don't hear anything about it. But I want to give some kudos to the big guys because I thought they had a great game. Cordy in particular really had a good game. Was really pushing forward, and I he stood out to me. For as much as I watch the O-line in the middle of the play, I've started to get better on trying to watch it on the replay to see who was where. And I just thought Cordy had an amazing game. So I want to give some credit there, friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
Anything on the side that you're like, well, we should probably improve that? Mike, let me start with you this time, then we'll come back to Jaimo.
I mean, other than, of course, a complete lack of wishbone plays, especially when Saskatchewan's doing them. I'm like, come on, Jason Moss is doing wishbones now?
And power eyes?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
The special teams has been really tough.
Not so special teams.
Charles Nelson has not had a spectacular season. I think that's a fairly safe statement. He had 3 or 4 4.7, there it is, yards average on punt returns. That's not great. And then our kick cover. Yeah. I mean, when we are punting the ball away, our net average was 22 yards.
Oy.
That is tough on 4 punts for Matt Mangle, who, by the way, had a great tackle in that game. Yeah. It just maybe shouldn't be that he has to make that tackle.
Right. Yeah. and you know, Mike's stolen my thunder and said it better than I can. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to live long enough to see an Elks touchdown return off a kick or a punt, but I sure hope I do. It's just so strange to me that in a city, you know where I'm going, that gave the world or the CFL Gizmo. And there have been others with brief flashes. You know the names, Donnie Ashley and Winston October,
sure.
and but it's not a long list. That this has been a Bermuda Triangle position for, you guys must know the years, but it's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Gizmo's been gone 22 years now.
Right.
2015 was our last return.
2015 was Kendall Lawrence, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Kendall. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and it's just one of those curious things, right? Like, like the Philadelphia Flyers and their goaltenders,
right.
I mean, they've got a good one now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they just churn through, and it's just an odd thing to me that they can't land on somebody for any length of time and really get the special teams, all of the facets kind of figured out and working at the same time.
Yeah, it's death, taxes, and we're never getting a return. That's basically where we're at.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing that I had that was Beatty, although he did have the touchdown, otherwise just a 4-yard run average and wasn't really getting a whole lot of spark. I'm hoping now maybe that changes now that we've got Malik Irons and it looks like there's a possibility he may start this week.
Well,
But
Beatty's on the PR apparently.
PR. Yeah, so likely we're looking Malik Irons and a whole lot of Lee Trey, which is great. I'm excited about that. But that might be my next jersey. It's gonna be so just so
It's a
I
great
can say
choice.
Lee Trey. Oh, Lee Trey, come on. I got McCarty. Might as well get Lee Trey.
There you go.
Why is it that I pick all the guys with the long hair? I don't understand. I got none.
That's
I pick all the
envy.
guys.
That's envy.
That's right.
Envy. You're projecting.
Oh,
You're projecting.
Don't worry, in the Horde and Tell, that's coming.
Oh, I can't. This is exciting. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of the Horde and Tell, super fan, it is that time once again for you to get into some Horde and Tell with us. Let me set that up for you here. There we go. What do you have for us today, Uncle Mike?
All well, right. Obviously, we are an Elks podcast, and of course, everything under the previous name, and in fact, previous 5 or 6 names, if I'm going back to the beginnings. But I love talking about not just the team, but football in Edmonton in general. And one of the things that has been around for, I mean, my lifetime, everyone here's lifetime, has been junior football in town, especially the Huskies and the Wildcats. And I got a few more programs recently. This one is a absolute gem condition here. This one is from, hopefully you can see that, 1954. There we go. That one came in recently. Absolutely gorgeous thing. Oh, a little picture of Mr. Mayor Horlack there. Yeah, he's a bit of a thief, but that's all right. Great photos and things like that. A lot of these guys did try out for the team back in the day. So it's great to sort of see some of those younger pictures of them and hearing some of the stories. And it's still great football to watch. But which is particularly spectacular, an absolutely phenomenal gift from one of our good friends, Linda Edwards, who found some things that her brother had played. I can't remember if it was the Huskies or the Wildcats. I want to say Wildcats, which means I'm probably wrong. And hopefully she'll correct me. But she graciously gave me some of the yearbooks from the years, from the 70s years, and absolutely outstanding. Here's a great one from 1975. Hopefully everyone can see that. Most importantly, though, and this picture's already been saved.
I think I know where this is going.
There we go. Hopefully people can see that. Beautiful shot of one Mr. Marco Sincar. Look at that luscious dew. Absolutely famous. Of course, that's why Linda did put the bookmark in there just so I could see it. There's 19, I think this is 76. Another beautiful one there.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is going.
I love the artwork from that era. I just love. That's great.
And again, some great photos in each one of these for guys like Dave Zakarko, who was with the team in '79, and his sister ended up being Miss, not only representing the team, but in the Miss Grey Cup pageant, but she won Miss Grey Cup. Again, this looks like 1978. And this is back when they were using illustrators instead of just simple throwaway pictures. And then the last one here, 1979. Again, just absolutely fantastic stuff. Yeah. And again, great photos of players that some made the team, but others, maybe this was the last shot at football for them. But I absolutely love this kind of stuff. And reading these stories, not just about the Elks and the previous teams that have been here over the last 100 some odd years, but the university teams and the junior teams and stuff like that, and just absolutely fantastic stuff. So a huge thank you to Linda for these. These have been I poured over them about 30 times since I've got them. Just looking at these old photos and just seeing, oh my God, I think that guy, played for the team or was in training camp or whatever. And finally getting to see a photo of some of these, because even Jaimo, like I've had people asking me for photos of players, if I have any, because some of them it's hard to find. Some of these really, really obscure players that maybe tried out and people are like, do you have a picture of this guy? And you're like, why this guy?
I think we've talked about it. I think we've talked about it previously, but and if we have, my apologies. But when we were preparing to move from the old building to the new one, the history of the team was preserved in these huge books.
Yeah.
And receptionists going back decades would dutifully cut out the newspapers.
Right.
And tape the stories into the pages and write it down what day it was. And they were huge books, and you would flip them over with great, flourish, and on the next page, they were heavy, heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were preparing to move, and they were in a safe in the old building, I thought, well, we're many things, but we are not archivists, and this stuff's going to get lost. And so I had contacted the City of Edmonton Archives in the armories and introduced myself and said, we're preparing to move, and I believe that we're a community-owned team, and that this should be in the safekeeping of the city. And they were really excited to get those, decades of stuff, and it is all there available for the public. A lot of it's been, and it, Mike. It was great. We needed dollies to push these books in. They're huge, and they're super heavy. Oh yeah.
Oh, they are they're like almost 3 feet long and 2 feet tall, and a good 4 inches thick kind of thing. So they're huge.
They're really, and for anyone who's wants to research or just, it's all there. It's all there. But I'm really glad that we went ahead and did it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I've actually been recently. Victor QE had very kindly offered to show me some of the archives for the team, and I talked to Alan Watt, and he connected me with one of the archivists at the city archives, because that's who has basically inherited specifically the paper stuff, right? All the whether it's posters, whether it's booklets, whether it's whatever, anything that you really need to take care to preserve and make sure it lasts. And there is some absolutely phenomenal stuff out there. Stuff on the annual dinners going back to the original one in 1964, all the programs and information about stuff like that. And I'm so glad it's not getting lost because of people like you and before you who are thinking enough to put these scrapbooks together and preserve it so people can flip through them. When I was there, people would kept coming over to my tables to see this massive stack of these scrapbooks. It's like, what's that? Oh, that's cool. And then they'd be telling me their stories. As fans, remembering, some of these players from 1968, that was my first year as a season ticket holder, and that's one of the things I love more than anything else, is that connection people had, and hopefully still have. And I don't know if they're necessarily capturing that with the newest generations, and I really hope they do.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. All right, week 7, gentlemen. It is time for us to get ready for this week's game, Elks versus the Bombers. Elks will need every bit of their A game in this one. The Bombers coming off 2 giant wins over BC and Calgary. And we're not likely to get the easy DPI calls this week as we did last one. O-line's going to need to be enormous against this incredible Bombers D-line. What are our keys to the game? Where do we get through this game and look towards a win at home? It's been only 1,020 days now.
It's been a while.
Not that we're counting.
No. I just have marks on the wall. Other than that, it's fine.
Better than marks on your skin, that's for sure.
Well, I'm running out of wall space. Title of the podcast: running out of wall space. Okay. I
hear you.
Yeah, exactly. Jaimo, what are our keys to pull out this win on Friday?
Well, pull out a win. Winnipeg is going to have to stub its toe quite badly. Now, no team is perfect. They're not the 72 Dolphins yet, but they are good in all the facets. They are well coached. They're the gold standard in the CFL. You win back-to-back Grey Cups, you've earned that, and they're now 6-0. I think if Edmonton can keep it close, don't get run off the field, don't give up the big play, because the big play, like we saw in the Calgary game, really knocks. This is an Elks team that's still fragile. It's still, getting its sea legs, Bambi on ice.
Yeah.
But, and get to the third quarter, get to the second half, and breaks can happen. I mean, you guys have been watching football, your whole lives, and I've been in it for a good chunk of mine. And teams that are overmatched, and this is David and Goliath here. But David sometimes can win, but it's a tall order, and they're going to have to play nearly flawless football, certainly in offense. No, Cornelius, don't sling it, even though you might want to fight the urge to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, if you can, get in the way. Winnipeg, like when they played the BC Lions, good Lord. I mean, that was a team I used this, they flexed.
Yeah.
Like Winnipeg had won every game prior to BC, but against BC, they went, we'll show you why we're good. Stand back.
Yeah,
and they did. And you just don't want to allow them to stand back, because that's a well-coached team, man. They look like everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do at exactly the right time. So, can the Elks do it? Yeah, but it's a really tall order.
Yeah, absolutely. Super fan, what do you got?
I think that for a team like Jaimo says, as great in every facet that they seem to be, I mean, I don't think anyone disputes that they are going to be number one in the power rankings for a while until someone can knock them off. They're the only undefeated team now, having knocked off two undefeated teams back to back in BC and Calgary. You're going to have to be patient, and you are going to have to do some confusion in there and sort of surprise them, things that they do not expect on offense, on defense, and God forbid, maybe on special teams. Just you've got to disguise as much as you possibly can on all three facets of what you're doing, and hopefully can maybe catch them. They were prepared for BC and Calgary because they were the top two other teams. We're the fifth team out of five in the West, and maybe they'll be. I don't think they'll be looking past us. I don't think O'Shea would ever let that happen, but maybe they're not quite taking us as seriously, and we can capitalize on that. But I mean, if we do, that's like a first quarter thing, and then you've got to hold on as tightly as you can. But we're coming against a very strong defensive line, and this is going to be the biggest test our offensive line's had. So
well, you're talking about shakeups and things like that. Like we might see Deron Carter playing defense for his first game.
We might.
Is that shake up enough? Is that does that make everything? I don't know if that on defense. This is going to be interesting. If nothing else, it's going to be a show. Make it a show.
Another reason why we love Linda. She says wishbone.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
They don't see it coming.
That's right. No, they don't see it coming. Do it now.
Maybe a single wing. It'll be great.
That would be out. Yeah, Kai Loxley in back, and then Irons and Lee Trey on either side of Cornelius.
There we go.
Because you can have two quarterbacks on the field. I mean,
yes, you can. Yeah,
they came so close too, right? With the Cornelius back pass to Loxley, and then down the field and off the hands. Like I was so excited for them to actually have that work.
That was a well executed play.
It was
that except for the catch. Yes, it was lovely. It was. But we're gonna need some tricksing and things like that. On the other hand, no fake punts out of the end zone, Chris Jones. We can be very clear about that.
We've got some great suggestions in here as well too.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'm excited for those, and we'll talk about those when we get into into overtime. Maybe they use the short game to set up the long game this week, where dump passes, and then double move and down you go. I don't know. There's got to be something. You got to try something different for sure to break that defense. So let's talk pick'ems, because I mean we got to pick all the other games. Let's see where things are at. So we've got a doubleheader Thursday. Not my favorite thing in the world, but double header Thursday. First game is Montreal versus Ottawa. That happening in the capital. We've got Hamilton versus BC in the late game out on the West Coast. Then we have, of course, our game on Friday, and then we have Toronto versus Saskatchewan on Saturday. The rematch of Touchdown Atlantic, where hopefully helmets will all stay on heads and not be flying at other people.
You're talking to someone that definitely knows about a helmet coming off a head.
Yeah,
you know all about that. Yeah,
yes.
We were all watching for you, Jaimo. You didn't come running on the field.
No, but I'm too old for that now.
You've done it once. Was it more than enough? Yeah,
exactly.
I don't need to do this. All right, so everyone in the chat, if you have an option for us for a prop bet for the Elks game, throw it in the chat and we'll throw up some options. And Jaimo, you'll get to pick which prop bet we're going to do for the Elks
Sure.
game, because we never
Okay.
pick against them. We just do prop bets. But we'll pick the other 3 games. So who do you have in those 3 games? Montreal, Ottawa, Hamilton, BC, and Toronto, Saskatchewan.
I will go Ottawa. And
Okay.
I think I'm doing this because I think very highly of both Sean Burke, who I know from was a fellow PR guy with
Mhm.
Hamilton years ago, and I want them to win. The Red Blacks they've been working this hard, and with losing Mazzoli, I want something good to happen to them. I don't want this to build and keep going.
I like it.
Hamilton, I can't figure out, are they a bad football team or a good team playing badly? I mean, this
That's
is
a
not a
great
team,
question.
and I can't quite get that figured out. And Orlando Steinauer and the group there, that's a good organization, but I don't, something doesn't jive for me. But BC is, Nathan Rourke left the last game against Winnipeg and went, oh, I better, I got some stuff to learn. And he's such a great story. You want to see it keep going.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go BC over Hamilton. Hamilton fly. It's in Vancouver, correct? Or if I got it mixed around?
That is
Okay,
you're right.
so it's the fly out to the coast, and sorry, give me the Saskatchewan. Sorry, the touchdown
rematch.
Atlantic rematch. Wow. Well, I haven't heard, unless you guys have. What's Cody Fajardo's health like?
Have not
But
heard
they
yet.
have not announced yet. They're not sure if they're even
Okay.
going to be playing them yet. So
Right. So, well, you've asked me, so I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go Riders will win this. But if they do, they're going to have to, because Fajardo, you saw the headline on tsn.ca. He doesn't know how long he can play this pain game.
Right.
mhm.
When your quarterback, and he's pretty good, says that, you go, whoa. Now, I don't know what their number 2 is, and I'm sorry, I should know that, but it's a drop
Nathan
down.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's a drop down
Yeah.
in terms of ability, at least, and experience. So I'm going to go Saskatchewan, but I've got misgivings until I
Okay.
get an injury report. Yeah.
That's fair. Super fan.
I think I'm going to go the other way around. I'm going to go with Montreal in this game. We always seem to have that up and down with Trevor Harris, good Trevor, bad Trevor. Not that he was a terrible game. I think he was
Nope.
pretty accurate in his game, certainly more than we had. But he did have those 2 interceptions. So not necessarily the greatest game. I think he's going to have a bit of a bounce back. And I'm just not really sold on Caleb Evans in Ottawa. Maybe Arbuckle comes in. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to take Montreal on that one. Hamilton versus BC. Again, you've got a Hamilton team crossing 3 time zones to play in BC, who is still smarting from that beatdown that Winnipeg gave them. And I think that Rourke is going to have learned from that. And you've got to have that adversity to be able to come back. So I'm going to take them. And then Toronto versus Saskatchewan, like Jaimo said, I don't know if Cody is going to be playing. And we haven't heard anything. There's a suspension to maybe,
True.
that could be a switch to the Duke Williams, and that takes away their number 1 weapon on the 50-50 ball, as well as such a powerful weapon on offense in general. If those both happen, I think Toronto takes this game. So I've never been a huge MBT fan, but I think that he can definitely get it done. And if there's a bit of a disarray in the rectangle, I'm certainly hoping for it. As we all are. I mean, we are 1 game behind Saskatchewan. So if we could find a way to win this game and they can lose it, we're tied for them. And then we got a game coming up against them the next time we play. So that's my picks are, Montreal, BC, and Toronto.
All right. And I'm going Ottawa, BC, and Toronto because I will never pick Saskatchewan.
That's fair.
Because no one picks the wrong shade of green. That's right. Now, do we have some prop bet ideas in there, Superfan, in the chat?
Let's see what we've got here. David Winchester says offensive yards for Edmonton. Chris Agar says kick return yards average for Edmonton. And Coach Vic says Elks defensive turnovers.
Ooh, my. Okay. So, Jaimo, do any of those appeal to you, or did you have something else in mind?
Maybe you can have an audible. Yeah.
No. I'm going to go Coach Vic. I'm going to go
Coach Vic.
defensive turnovers.
The Elks defensive turnovers against Winnipeg, which
Yeah.
they do not
I
turn
know.
over the very much. Okay.
I know, and I know Caleros has been. I mean, he's probably. I don't imagine anyone could argue much about him being MOP right now. Or at least at this point.
No.
Right.
But you can have those games.
Yep, that's very true. Okay, I will put the line on this one at 1.5. So, super fan, we'll start with you this time.
I was expecting him to have one turnover in this game. That he just gets rid of that ball so quickly, and when he does hold on to it and throw it, more often than not, it's going to be he'd rather take the sack than to throw that INT. So I'm going to go with under in this one.
All right, Jaimo.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to go
Okay.
two turnovers. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I am going to go over as well with 2 because I figure it'll be very close, and then Mike will probably win, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because
I hope I lose.
That's exactly.
Mike is a worthy victor. Mike is a worthy victor if that's the case.
Exactly. Yeah, and we understand if that's how that goes. All right, in the fantasy realm, which I mean, you'd think I'd be talking about a home win when I talk about that, but anyway, I'm talking about fantasy football. Mike loses to Os Davis this week for Rouge, White, and Blue. I was on the bye week, so that didn't affect me at all. But this week we have a couple of fun matchups. I get one Ryan Ballantyne from the Horsemen. So I guess I know what
the
he's
villain
picking.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, wait a second. Actually, is Calgary playing this week?
No, they're not. So I don't know.
Oh, well, this could be. So he's going to pick all Bombers just to piss me off because that's what he does. You get Brazilian Tie from the 2 and Out podcast.
Oh, I got my work cut out for me.
Exactly. So, but Superfan, you and I are both 3rd and 4th in the overall standings of said fantasy league at this point. So
I think we're tied right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so follow all of the news on that on Twitter, and of course find all of those great shows at CF Pod Network on Twitter. I'll just do this now. Let's go. This episode is also brought to you by Park Power, your local utilities provider with low rates, great service, and profit sharing with local charities. In Alberta, you get to choose who to buy your internet, electricity, and natural gas from. If you switch providers, nothing changes about the delivery of these utilities to your home or business. If you have an existing contract, you're going to want to find out what the terms are before leaving. But if you don't, then it's even easier to sign up for Park Power. You as the consumer have the choice of who to pay your power bills to. Why not choose your friendly local utilities provider? Learn more at parkpower.ca. That's parkpower.ca. Jaimo, this was amazing to have you back on the podcast. Are you going to stick around for overtime with us?
I'm sure. What does it require?
We're
dancing,
just
any karaoke, nothing.
No, just straight open chatter. So it's just more football talk.
I'd be happy to.
But we're very happy to have had you back on the show. And thank you again for all your stories and insights. And we're so glad that you're doing better. I know.
Well, thank you guys.
Still struggling, but it's important to us, and we're so glad to have you back to chat football. So,
yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell everyone where they can find you, because everybody wants more Jaimo.
Well, and you're getting them now. I now do a 4-hour show. I co-host an extravaganza from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekdays on TSN 1260 called Low Tide and Jameson. I'm the second name on the marquee, as it should be. And my friend Alan Mitchell, who goes by the name Low Tide, is a long-time blogger, one of the earliest to get in on that on the Edmonton Oilers. And he has a book coming out in September called On the Clock. And so you'll want to buy that on the draft history of the Edmonton Oilers. It's not all bad. And it's been a lot of fun. We're now into week 7 of this 4-hour iteration, and it's been a lot of fun. We can go a lot of different places. Al is clearly very skilled in the area of hockey, and certainly around the Edmonton Oilers. And I have a sort of a broader base in my sports knowledge, and so we're having a lot of fun with it. It's been really it's been a nice change.
Fantastic. So we'll tune in there and follow you on Twitter at Jameson1260, right?
Indeed.
Perfect. Super fan. Where does everybody find you?
You can find me at 56 Parkies, and then the history stuff can be found at the Edmonton Football History account. That's at EDMHISTOREE.
Perfect. And you can find me at Freepalicious, where I talk more probably Lego and a little bit of football, just because, can't get enough.
Why not?
And probably more Thor: Love and Thunder when I see it 100 more times, because it's an awesome movie. The screaming goats make the whole movie. It's fantastic. You got to see it. Our APN shout out this week is going to The Breakfast Dish. Dance, music, visual art, theater, and get to know you conversations with the artists behind the work. Join Griffin Cork and his mom Karen Johnson Diamond every Monday morning as they meet the creators of today's digital offerings. Find them and all the other great shows at the Alberta Podcast Network.com. There we go.
People are like, something's wrong with my sound.
Yeah, something's weird. Yeah, exactly. Also, of course, make sure you're following our friends at Pay It Forward with Football as they continue to send people to games and spread kindness through football. Make sure you're following us too. It's at the Turf District. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're trying to do a little more on there to kind of engage with everybody and be part of things. Of course, when there's a game on and we're sitting in the stands, don't expect a whole bunch of tweets, but make sure that you join us the rest of the time when we're chatting about how the game went down or the lead up to said game. Superfan game is at 7 this Friday, so tailgate opens at 5.
Yes, sir.
What are we having?
Oh, see, this is right in the middle of that K-Days festivities. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to, bring the K-Days party to us. So we're going to have not only some corn dogs, some fries, some popcorn, even some cotton candy. We'll have some games for the kids and even some prizes for those games as well for everyone who participates, win or lose. So I think there might even be some football relations in there. So we will see. It's going to be a great time. Bring the family down and join us talking about some football.
Absolutely. And then get your ticket, get into the game, and then of course enjoy or come meet us at West of Us at halftime on the concourse section G. We're excited to have all of you there to chat with us and see how the game is going. We'll either sob together or laugh together. You never know how that's all going to play out.
Mini donuts make it all better.
Correct. And we're right by them, which is great. Yeah, exactly. So if you're on YouTube, stick around for overtime. We'll be back to chat more football. Otherwise, we will be back next week to talk about the third win for the Elks as they get ready for their bye week. We got to be excited.
Hey, first win in the home in a long time.
Correct. And a programming note, we will be back on Sunday to record the podcast. As it is bye week, we're going to get together a bit earlier and chat some more stuff and then take that week to have a break. So if you're sticking around, great. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. For Jaimo, Superfan Mike, and Commissioner Kayla, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
See you later.
go anywhere. It's overtime.
And we are back for overtime. Back with Jaimo, Superfan, Mike, and myself. Boy, we've got. I'm sure there's a ton to talk about there in the chat, but before we get to that, again, thanks, Jaimo, for doing this. This is fantastic.
My pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
And anytime we get to marinate in green and gold with you is worth the I'm pretty sure I still have
and
that.
That's what it is, a marination. It is.
I'll have to put that right at the beginning. It's time to marinate in green and gold. I should have said that, actually. It's time to marinate in green and gold.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, for those of you who don't know that reference, jog back to the show under the old name and look up.
First time, I think.
Yes.
Look back and see when that was. I'm gonna say it was 2016.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it feels right.
Yeah, it's right.
I was there.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I think it's in like October or so of 2016. So, so that's got to be around show 40-ish. Go back and I'll post it online so that everybody knows when that was. So
yeah,
okay.
All right, Superfan, what do we got in the chats to chat about?
Well, first off, I think this is a good sign. Is Tim Capper says that and Chris Agar said we were sounding really good today. So apparently the new system is working and we're all on sync. So that's a plus. So there we go.
Perfect.
Score some points for the move from Skype.
Yes.
Then they're talking about, a lot of people don't know, but Chris Agar did win tickets to the last game in Montreal, and he happened to be going out anyway. So that worked out really well. And it sounds like he had a fantastic time. Of course, he got to meet up with Victor Cui as well as Tim and CFL Hobo, who's also in the chat. And he's coming out here August 27th for the West Coast Stadiums tour. So hopefully he'll get a chance to maybe hit our tailgate and come visit and say hi and everything else. So that'll be great.
And happy birthday, Chris. That was a great way to celebrate your birthday.
Absolutely.
He gets at the game, Elks win, free tickets, all the good things. Yeah.
I met CFL Hobo in Calgary at the Grey Cup.
Nice.
I was hosting it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I met him at the 2018 Grey Cup. He was sitting at our table. So yeah. So what else we got here? Coach Vic. I think we've already actually asked that one. Sorry, my mistake. David Winchester was talking about the game may not go as planned, but at least I get to watch live football. And at this point, we will take it. Chris Agar says, talking about, Jaimo was talking about the various media avenues that we need to, the team needs to explore. Non-tech based media is so important. Many refuse to watch things like ads online, so you're never going to get those folks' attention. And I think every time you can just bring yourself to that, front of mind, it's like, oh, there's the team, like you said, on a billboard. We used to have great billboards, all over the place, and it was just constantly reminding you. It's like, all right, the team's playing today, or this week, or whatever it happened to be.
Do you guys remember the billboard that was just down from the old office or the stadium, I guess I should say? It was just as 111, or I guess it's 112. And I always say 111, but where it would curve.
Right.
And then you would, as you were coming, like imagine you're driving down 111 or 112, whatever it is, and you're heading to the stadium and there's just a little bit of a curve there, and it was a big static on top of the building.
I love that place.
Yeah.
And that was one that the Eskimos bought religiously. Like it was just standard. And when I took over the job, I mean, it was just, that was one of the first calls you made to hook advertising, as it was then before it was Pattison.
Right.
And it was just like, lock up that board, please. Take it from May or April. I forget when we would get out there with season, $99 season ticket, and then off we would go. And then you would do game specific, what they call snipes, which is dropping the date and the opponent in the corner. Didn't change them for each game. You just had the one big creative, the central piece.
Yep.
And whatever it was, defend the turf or whatever. I mean, and then once digital billboards really took hold, you could be more responsive. If there was a promotion or a game, a special pricing offer, that kind of thing, you could adapt more readily, obviously. But I still, and again, like transit, we had bus benches. I know, and you would just see whatever season ticket pricing or whatever. But
Right.
I understand, you can only do what your budget will bear. But I don't think you can forsake that street level presence.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. More, how much chatter did the remember the billboard? They're horrible human beings or whatever it was like that.
Right.
Like a
Well,
ton of
we did,
chatter.
and I mean, you guys know full well, and I mean, I hate to sound like it's my idea, but the one that, and my friend Miles Conrad used to with Snow Globe was his agency, and we did some really good stuff with him over several years. But the concept for that billboard around Saskatchewan after the Too Many Men on the Field. So the
Right.
first visit they made the following year in Saskatchewan would typically take out a billboard across from Commonwealth,
Yep.
rallying cry for Rider Nation. So we knew that was coming, and we said, well, we'll see you and raise you. And so we did the billboard. Just bought one. That's all you needed. That said, they can't count to 13 at Grey Cup. We've got 13 Grey Cups and counting.
Nice. I remember that sign.
that one.
And it was the rider guy sitting in his basement, with a melon on his head and his dog, and he's throwing the popcorn watching the Grey Cup. And
so good.
it got a lot of buzz. And I think we had, not off that billboard, there was a lot of buzz leading to that game, and we had a massive crowd.
Yeah. And that's
Like, it was huge.
sometimes those things, it's a funny thing. It kind of draws people in, right? It's
Wasn't that the record-setting game? The 63,000 or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
It's still the record now, and probably will be forever now that they've reduced the seats.
and it's never just one thing. Like, there's got to be a convergence of public interest, obviously, a good product, which they had, and both teams were good. It's Saskatchewan. None of that works if it's the Ottawa Renegades coming in.
Right.
So you've got to have a bunch of stuff.
No,
Yeah. Well, yeah. You got to have a bunch of stuff coming in.
Yeah.
And it did. It landed perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. I did see Capper was asking about the early line on the game. So it's right now Winnipeg minus 4.5.
Oof, that's a tight game.
I think that's not.
They always say home is worth 3 points. So you're saying it's really a 1.5 point on a neutral field?
I don't know about that. Yeah,
that's very flattering.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. The best Edmonton spread though is +9, so that seems a little more where we should land. But but the best win spread right now is minus 4.5. So I would say that's where is that at? Opening? I don't know what that is. Bet Regal's got them at the Elks at +9. So
that's probably a little more accurate than 4.5.
I would think
I'll
so.
take it.
Yeah, I would think so.
You gotta hope. You gotta hope.
Yeah. Anything can happen anytime.
Yeah,
Linda Wood Edwards wanted to say that Jaimo gave a great synopsis on the importance of the Alumni Association, and I couldn't agree more, for sure.
Well, thank you. They have done really good work over the many years, and I know this group is very committed to continuing that work and growing it where possible. We got our Wine Fest coming up. I should plug that September 17th.
It's back.
Oh, nice.
Wine Fest is back. It's in the Jackie Parker room.
So good.
More details to follow. It's a limited capacity. I think we can only sell 400 tickets.
Right.
But more information to come. So that'll be on our alumni website at efootballalumni.ca. September 17th. That's the day after they play in Saskatchewan, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
So it'll be in the Parker room, and I believe the time is 5:30. But more details, and I'm sure we'll have it up on the Elk site as well.
So it's a Saturday.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Saturday. Yeah.
I'll mark my calendar now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to all of them since I came back in mid 2016. And it's always a phenomenal time. That's where we discovered Sucker Punch. Oddly enough, the offensive line was sitting outside selling Mad Jack products. We're not selling, demoing Mad Jack products, and we discovered Sucker Punch, which was still a single tier for the fact they don't make it anymore. Or certainly sell it here.
That was a tailgate immediate, and that
It's
first 2 years was all sucker punch all the time. It was
yeah,
amazing.
it's definitely a fun time if you get a chance. Obviously, with limited tickets, so everyone can't go, but anyone watching or listening, if you do
Yeah.
get a chance, it's a great time. Even if you're not a huge wine drinker, just getting together with some people. They have other non-wine items, some ciders, sometimes
Yeah.
some beer, some hard alcohol. So super a lot of fun, and get to hang out with some former alumni, not just players, but sometimes coaches or admin and
Yeah.
everything else. So
And we're hoping to have some of the current guys pop by as well, as
oh,
as their schedule allows, right?
Yeah.
right, that's
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Coach Vic's asking for Jaimo.
Hmm.
In a perfect world, would you want to be part of this current organization's communication team?
Well, I don't know if I could keep up with those young guys like Evan Dom and
Hmm.
who I call a friend and a guy I've got a tremendous amount of respect for, and Hernan Salas, who's joined the team, who I was a colleague
Yeah.
of mine at TSN 1260.
Mhm.
There's I put it to you this way. I think I'm happy in the I love broadcasting. I love the work I did for many 14 years there. But I think that in terms of being able to keep up with the pace, because it's you're going
Right.
all the
Mhm.
time. I just don't think my health would allow it. I'm hoping to get better as I progress here and kind of move beyond the heavy stuff. But no, I'm a fan of their work, and so I'm going to leave it at that. But I appreciate the question, and I think the perfect world is them there and me. I get to watch.
And
I
talk
go,
about it on the
hey,
radio.
yeah, talk about it on the radio, but also just and occasionally we'll chat about what they're doing, and I connect with them for the alumni stuff that I do, and and I know I was there pro bono work, but I'm happy to do it, and just in terms of helping with the media guide and some of the stuff around the process of getting that done. When they took over, right? Because they were really kind of starting from scratch in a lot of ways. And so it was okay, just some of my thoughts on how that all played out. Cause that was a big part of the job, getting that media guide done.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's you, man, that you sweat that one.
So
It's
did they have one for this year?
they do have one for this year.
I
Yes.
haven't got one for this year yet. Okay.
No,
Yes.
they're not many printed. Before they used to print a lot and sell them in the team store. Now they're just printing them for media. But still, it's one of the few printed things left. No more
Yeah.
pocket schedules, no more programs, no more ticket stubs. Which,
No.
of course, I collect all of those things. I mean, it's paper and it's got the Edmonton logos on it, so of course I collect it.
When they're magnets. God.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Remember we had lunch bags? Remember we had like little lunch bags that we
Yeah.
gave
Oh,
away, and
yeah.
and there were towels. God, I was still drying my skates off when I was playing like 3 years ago with those Save On towels with the
Nice.
logo in the middle, and yeah.
In the 2008 when we had the 60 seasons, those towels were great too, and
Yes.
boomsticks. Oh, thunder sticks.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome. Ken was talking about the communication team. It says just they are miles ahead of where they were even a year ago. Really, a lot of some of the same people, but you can just really see a difference with that being empowered to go out there and own that what they do, which has been great.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, how do I phrase this? That is having a really good comms department isn't going to win you a game. It won't lose you a game, but it matters to the overall perception of the brand.
And maybe
Mhm.
gets more bums and seats, right?
And yeah, and so I know I took a great deal of pride in that part of my job. Is
For
there
sure.
was the advertising and the marketing side, which I love doing, and then there was the comm side, which I love doing as well. And they were distinctly different worlds to live in. But I Ron Rook, who was the PR guy for the Calgary Stampeders ended up being the team president, I think, for a year or two. Hired Matt Dunnigan as the coach, and that didn't go very well for anybody involved. But Ron really was the gold standard. And so when I got the job in '98, I came in after Alan Watt had gone to the Oilers, and Marty Knack was kind of doing some stats stuff for us. But I, got the job in '98, and we weren't very good. I wasn't very good,
No.
but we as a club were not very good in that area. Hugh Campbell chafed at the idea that I was sending out press releases.
Wow.
Because I remember when in my first camp, so this would be Kay Stevenson as the coach. And remember, I'm brand new. I don't know what the hell this job is.
Did anyone?
And I know, and I would fold up. I would get our, our alphanumeric in depth training camp prospectus, as we called it.
Yep.
And I'd be folding them on the hood of my car at camp at Concordia, and having no clue what the hell I was doing. And Hugh came over and he said, we'd signed somebody, he'd been in San Antonio or Sacramento, I forget. And he goes, "Why are you putting this out?" And I said, "Well, Hugh, what I'm doing, I'm trying to explain to Hugh Campbell, who, he'd worked in the NFL, and we know who Hugh Campbell is." I say, "Well, if we send this out, someone picks it up, and maybe there's a story. They come down to the field, whoever it is, Joanne Ireland, and writes a piece. And that feeds back into the idea of awareness." And Hugh said, "Well, why can't people just show up at camp and they'll find out when they're here who that is?" I said, "No, this is not how we can do this. Like, we're going to tell people about what we're doing." And it was good. I mean, he's a dear friend. I mean, I can get quite emotional from talking about the phone call I got from Hugh when he found out I had cancer. And his call to me was deeply impactful. And I have a deep friendship for him and owe him everything in terms of my career with the Edmonton Eskimos and in professional football. But it was, when I think back to the comms and department and what they were with me, and, you get better, hopefully, and you're challenged because the Edmonton media, they're tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of the people when I opened the door, and there were a lot of them back then. You had all the TV stations, A Channel, French and English CBC, CTV, Global, I'm missing somebody else. You had Sportsnet, TSN, The Score. That's television. And then you had radio stations coming out, not just Ched.
Yeah.
Two papers, double staffed, editorialist, on either side. Tough town.
Yeah,
like you knew something bad. You knew something bad heavy had gone down when Cam Cole was at your door. I went, "Oh boy, who's a wonderful writer and a great guy." But you had to get better, and I took a great deal of pride in that. And I think it just changes, and people came in. I think they lost something off their fastball in that communications area, and I think they've got it back now.
Yeah, it does seem that way, even on the fan front, right? You see the changes, how that kind of works, right? So as you said that, actually, I just realized I meant to say it in the podcast and I forgot, but I'm really excited that they're broadcasting this week's game in Cree.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Mike, if you got a chance to listen to the 2 and Out podcast yet, where
I did.
Travis talked to Victor, but Victor said right in that show, he's like, "Yeah, Cree is a first step, and I'm excited for that step. But I want to get to a point where our games are being broadcast in 7 or 8 languages, and all of those people will have that connection. It could, it could be in Hindi, it can be in French, it can be in Ukrainian, like all of these options." And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. But I am really, really happy that they're doing that and doing the one in Cree all across Alberta on Friday night. So I think that's a big deal, and a big kudos again to Victor.
That will be part of the story on the broadcast on TSN, because they're going to reference it, and their camera is going to go down and catch the guys, and they'll pick up that audio. That's been talked about already, leading up to this game. That is another layer of storytelling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that isn't who's at running back, who's a quarterback.
Sure,
those are
not
important.
All facts. Yeah,
yeah. But to someone going, "Wow, that's cool. Look what the Elks are doing."
Yeah,
it may not translate into a ticket sale immediately, but I can tell you what, you're gonna remember that.
And some kid's gonna maybe hear his first game in a language that allows him to really appreciate it for the first time.
Yeah. I think my earbuds gave up gas here. So sorry, guys. And I may just pull these out.
Okay. The other part actually that this is kind of I didn't really want to get into this on the podcast, but I do now. Isn't it nice that we're not the team in the middle of all the controversies in the past 2 weeks? Like, isn't that
Touch
a nice
wood.
change? I know I should be careful how I say that, but I mean, I feel for my Rider fan friends because trust me, we know what it feels like.
And some few of
yeah.
them reached out to me as well, saying, "Listen, this isn't new for us. It's not like we're all of a sudden, we're like the flavor of the week in the, but it's just certainly more now. The focus is entirely on them, and it's almost unfortunate we're talking about this when, we were talking about Touchdown Atlantic and how exciting that is and everything else, and all of a sudden everyone's talking about this massive helmet swing that got caught by the TSN cameras.
Yeah.
And then later on, was there spitting? Was there not spitting?
And now the story's coming out that's possibly COVID on a bunch of the Rider players.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, like but I feel your pain. That's what I'm telling you, Rider fans.
We've been there.
We've been there, and you will come out the other side. And I know it's not new for them, but and I don't want to wallow or be excited about anybody else's downfall, but it's just nice that it's not us for once. Like, it's been 4 years of just all been us, and it's kind of nice to not be us. You know what I mean? Like, that's
and who thought that when Chris Jones was announced as the GM coach?
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely.
We'd like to
Jaimo, we can't hear you.
Rider?
You gotta change your mic onto your screen there.
Oh yeah, the settings gear at the bottom.
Yeah. So we can see you. Obviously, you can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Yeah. We'd like to thank the Riders. That just sounds weird coming out of my mouth.
There's a line we never thought would happen on this show.
Yeah.
How's that?
There we go.
Now
there
we're
we go. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. No, it's
no
all
worries.
Good. Okay. But there's you probably heard it a lot, eliminating noise around the program.
Sure.
Yeah.
And stuff's going to go down. I mean, you can't go through a season without something, but too much of that is happening to that team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads me to think that, and I think Craig Dickinson's really good, but someone's got to, what sometimes my experience has been, okay, someone gets cut and a good player walks to send a message.
Right.
They're coming off a loss. They might have lost their quarterback, or he might be, injured for a bit.
Right.
That's around the time. And with all this other stuff happening, someone goes, okay, we better send a shot across the bow to this group. Like, we're not screwing around here. So all this stuff, the Garrett Marinos and all the other thing, it ends today. And we're sending away a guy who we'd like to keep because he can play and help us, but we're not having this go on.
I think it's tough for them because they know that if they were to cut a Garrett Marino or a Duke Williams, I mean, the ink wouldn't be dry on the facts that went into CFL when he's already signed by somebody else. Like, these are players that make that much of a difference. So it's tough. I know.
Unless the CFL does what it did with Jacob Ruby last year.
Yeah, that's tougher too,
I know
right?
That's a different thing. I understand that, but if I think there is precedent now that says that this type of person needs to learn a lesson and not be in the CFL for at least a year, right?
I mean, it is the longest suspension in CFL history with 4
It
games.
is that, yeah, absolutely. So,
do you remember when Terry Ray got cut? Because I do, because I was there.
Sure do.
Yeah.
And that was a real unsettling moment in that room. And I remember, and it wasn't because, penalties, or wasn't, it was just, they felt some disruption was needed to get that group focused. And
Mhm.
Terry Ray is a great guy and a hell of
Yeah.
a ball player, as you guys know. But I remember that would be 02, wasn't it? Was
Yeah.
that 02?
It sure was. Yeah.
It happened in camp, as I recall. And he ended up
He
going to
was
Winnipeg.
he was here in 02, wasn't he? He was missed the 03
Oh,
Grey Cup.
03. It would have
right.
been 03.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And I remember that being a whoa. And everyone sat up and went, "Are you kidding? He's gone?" It was one of those. It
Yeah.
was one of
Mhm.
those moves. So maybe that
Yeah.
needs to happen there.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was in camp, wasn't it? Training
Yes.
camp 2003? Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I remember being a fan going, what?
I-
What?
I've
What?
Yeah, I've got his 02
Pardon?
jersey actually in the collection behind me there.
Oh, wow. Fancy.
Yeah.
God, yeah. I need an 02 or an 03 Singor. That's what I need for my.
That'd be nice.
That's for So Singor, I know you listen. Please send me that. No, okay. That's not
He's
happening.
probably looking for it himself.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah. What else we got in the chat there, super fan?
People are talking about, again, one of the things I love about having Jaimo on is just he'll say stuff and it just catches fire. People talking about the Happy Camp Junior College. People are talking. I would wear that shirt.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
Camp JC or Happy Camp Junior College Counselor or whatever.
Well, yeah. God, you know, and when you asked me about Ricky and trying to go back to those days, there was just such great innocence, both from him as a person and as a professional quarterback. And I guess us to him, like that thing took off, Ricky, and then he was
Right.
here and he 02 and they lose at home and 03 win and really put the, boots to Montreal in Saskatchewan. Great win. Off to the New York Jets. I mean, in Regina.
Yeah.
So at the award ceremony, Ricky receives, I think, a Fan's Choice Award, if I'm not mistaken. And I was, I'm at the theater where I forget the name of it, but in Regina. We're all dressed up. And the event ends. And there's Ricky out
I heard
front.
this story. Yeah. Love it.
And he can't get a cab. I mean, there's not many in Regina on a good night. And so I'm there with him. And there's Dale McMillan, our team photographer. There's me, Ricky, I think his wife, Allison. And a few people are kind of staring like, hey, that's the Edmonton quarterback. Well, a city bus pulls up that was taking people. I think it was not like we weren't at a bus stop, but it was like right outside the theater. And the doors open up like a city bus that you would be riding around in. So we all jump on. So with regular passengers, there's Ricky. I don't know, was he in a tuxedo or just a suit? Doesn't matter. With his little trophy. And we're all sitting there and, we're hanging on the overhead racks and we're all, like this, like do. Where are you guys going? Well, we're with the Edmonton Eskimos and we're at this hotel. Guy goes, I'll take you right there. So we're driving around and like these other guys are, coming off the night shift or going on the night shift or whatever. And they're kind of like, what's going on up there? It's our quarterback and this little trophy that he got. And it's like, but that was Ricky. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is what we do, after award shows. Yeah, we get on a city bus. That's what we do.
I got to show you a picture I think you'll appreciate. I don't know if you can see that there.
Oh man,
wow.
Look at the hair. So
wow.
that is, that's Leon and Neon Leon beside him.
Oh, you gotta move it over.
Is that picture? Where is
towards
that
your
picture
face?
taken?
Towards the face.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, look at that hair.
Wow.
That's our boy.
Yep. So that is his first training camp. Obviously, since he's there beside Leon, he's a fourth stringer behind Bart and Moss because and then we had who was the quarterback after that? After
Moss left or after Ricky?
No. In his first training camp. We had Brian Kuklik.
Right.
Who went to one practice and then quit by leaving a message on someone's answering machine.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh my God! Like that's just the kind of story you're just like, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Someone wakes
Yeah.
up and it's like, by the way, I'm done.
Yeah.
You took a
Okay,
look and said, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, and that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
I like the fact that Chris Agar keeps saying that he's going to make the Happy Camp T-shirts.
Yeah.
I think it should be Happy Camp alumnus and put number 15 underneath it. It would be
Yeah.
perfect. Like that would be.
That is awesome.
That's the T-shirt. I should be making that with the Turf District podcast on that. I don't know why I was. Why am I giving away these ideas? But that would be
Like,
that'd be hilarious.
I mean, at this point, you got to figure he's the most famous, citizen of Happy Camp, California. At this point,
That's
he's
right.
the greatest happy camper ever.
and
Yeah.
he could have gone pillar to post as an Eskimo, but I don't want to go there tonight.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
we don't. Yeah, we don't need.
But
Don't need to talk about that.
no, not tonight.
All right, what else we got in there? Oh wait, actually I got one I'm gonna jump ahead to there, Superfan.
Yeah.
Because Capper was saying, does Jaimo know who discovered Ray in Arena Ball? And
Right.
Ken was saying he thought it was Rick Warman, but
It is.
It is?
Rick,
Yeah.
Rick can and should, and knowing Rick has taken credit for it. But no, he gets the nod.
Okay.
And because Rick, again, I may get this a little wrong or entirely wrong. Rick had either coached in that league or had, everyone's got a friend and everyone's kind of bird dogging and people are phoning and, hey, I got a guy. And Rick had enough intel. And don't forget, Ricky had gone to a 49ers camp as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there was enough on him, I think at least in Warminster, like, let's take a shot.
Yeah. Wasn't that why he couldn't be Rookie of the Year? Because he had been with the 49ers
I think
in
you
camp.
might be right. Yeah, to the letter of the law. I mean, God.
Like, good God. Like,
Yeah,
how could he
is
not be?
Of the year comes in and just lights the world on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. And he
It's
came
like,
in week 4, correct? Was it week 4?
Week 4, middle of the game. Yeah, that was
Right.
against Saskatchewan. And we were losing badly. And then the very next game we played BC, and it was against Damon Allen. And the whole broadcast, they talked about, this kid in his first game against the legend that is Damon Allen. And they kept comparing his yards. He's got 104 yards throwing versus the, tens of thousands that Allen had. And maybe one day he'll have a career like this. And it's fun to watch that. I mean, I watch that game every year or two, just because it is so funny knowing now what we know to see him in that very first start in week 5.
Wow. And we won that, did we not?
Yeah, his first start, you bet. He won a lot.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay.
And you can't say, that you'll lose your job to injury, but it's pretty tough for Jason Moss after waiting so long to finally get to start. Neil and Green have been traded after the 0-1 season, and all of a sudden now he's, behind his good friend Ricky.
However, I have to say, and others have said it, Jason Moss and the way he carried himself and the friendship he ended up developing with Ricky, and they're very close, is really a study in how someone can carry themselves in a difficult situation for them personally, but will better the team. And Jason was not just a backup. I mean, he was really, even with Ricky there, still a big emotional part of that team. Not everyone could do that.
Right.
Like Moss is cut from cloth that is really quite special.
Yeah.
And it was tough on a personal level to see, when the criticism of Jason Moss as a coach, and he would understand it comes with a gig and all of that, but knowing what I know of him as a person and how he was as a player, man, there aren't many people that I wouldn't want to have over him that I would want in a difficult situation on a football field and probably in life. And Jason's seen a lot of life.
Absolutely.
It's come at him, and he is a man of incredible quality. Like I just can't speak highly enough of him.
Yeah. No, I the few times I met him, great Great
Yes.
dude.
Oh,
for
just
sure.
yeah, absolutely, and brilliant. So
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
top Wonderlic score there.
yeah.
Coach Vic talking about how we could use a running back. Maybe we should trade for Walter Fletcher.
Hey, can we trade him for a 4th round pick? Because we just
Well,
got them.
Joe
Yeah.
Balaneski suggested we could get Vernon Adams and Fletcher for a 7th rounder. So that'll be
That
nice.
seems about the same prices we gave him up for, so that's fair.
Yep. So here's a great post here. Let me see if I can quickly find it. Chris Agar is saying, if the Elks get a kick return touchdown on Friday, I will cut my hair.
Well, it's a good thing that he doesn't have to worry about having a barber nearby. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You never know, but bring the clippers just in case, right? He did say it, so we'll take it.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we're gonna hold him to it. Yeah. I wanted a twin. It's good.
Yeah.
He didn't say shave his head. He said cut his hair, but we'll take it.
Oh, well, come on. If you're gonna do that, get real.
Ken does say after we traded Fletcher to Montreal, they do need to reciprocate in some kind of fashion.
Right.
And I mean, if not VA, and of course Tim Capper is less than enthused, being the Alouettes fan that he is.
Right.
If Vernon Adams gets traded, says in the Ricky Ray did, I'm going to call BS.
In the way Ricky Ray.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's the whole idea
for Magic Beans. Yeah.
Jaimo had to write that press release too.
Sure did.
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I'll tell you a quick story on that. So all of that story goes down. And I got a call from David Naylor, and we're in the new building. We hadn't been there long. Phone rings, and it's Naylor. He's obviously doing David Naylor stuff, and he knows someone's told him, probably our general manager, Eric Tillman, had called him to say, we traded Ricky Ray. So Dave needs a second to verify. So he calls me, and I said, Dave. And I hadn't been told yet by Tillman, but I knew something was coming. So I said, Dave, I'm just nodding. So me on the phone, I go, I'm nodding my head up and down, which meant it's yes. Go with your story, which he did. Then the next faces I saw at the door were Cavus and Ed Hervey. And they kind of swing the door open. And they were, to say the least, shocked. And I'm sitting there starting to build the release. I've got no idea this is coming. I don't have any, I've sort of landed at work and boof, that we're off and running. I still haven't heard from Tillman. And
everyone else had,
as he was often wont to do. And so I started working on the release, and he sends me his quotes. And Eric fancied himself as a writer, and he wasn't. And we used to say, when Eric would send you with one of his quotes, he just used a comma shaker, not a salt shaker, not a pepper grinder. And there were commas everywhere. Ricky is a wonderful, player, comma. I said, Eric, I'm going to have to fix this. Oh, why is that? I said, because it's not good.
Because it's not English.
You're talking like William Shatner.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and
he was a great player. And
it was just, it was just such a wild day, and it was just, and it didn't turn out well. And I felt bad for Steve Giles, and Grant Shaw had to kind of wear that as the guy, because local guy. I remember calling him, Grant, and he was working on a home reno project with his dad, installing. Hi, Grant, it's Dave Jamieson from the Edmonton Eskimos. Listening. Can you do some media? And he's like, hang on, I got to go check with my dad. Like, okay, well, that's fair. You're working. I mean, you're a guy, you're home from Toronto or whatever, you're off season, you're doing stuff. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Wow. One day I might build up enough courage to tell Ricky this story, but that was in my life. That was one of those moments where I remember where I was, right? Where,
we all do.
This sounds, I know it's different, but John Lennon getting shot, Wayne Gretzky getting traded, Ricky Ray getting traded was one of those moments for me. And I was working with the company I am now, but I was the PR guy, and I remember pulling up in my vehicle, and then, oh, we have a breaking report on the news. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll listen to this. And I remember like it was because it was a reasonable day. It wasn't screaming cold or anything like that. So it like was just listening. I just popped the door, and then I heard the news, and that was one of those moments where you're just like, just shocked. Like I couldn't, I didn't know how to process it in that moment. Like as a grown man, I remember sitting in my vehicle, like shedding a tear. Like why is this happening? What is going on? And then trying to justify it afterwards, and it was so hard, but it was just that moment of I don't get it. And that was a tough moment being a fan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, and I got to tell you, from my end of things, because I called Ricky.
Yeah, that can't be easy either.
And I called him, and I don't think even Eric that he'd heard from the club.
Oh,
so
wow.
I phoned him. I said, Rick, I know you and I don't work together anymore, but how would you like me to help you at this end? I don't want you to get inundated with calls in your Toronto property now, but you know, you've done a lot for us, you know, and I'll throw a downfield block for you if I can help in any way. You just tell me, and I'll do whatever you want done. And he was very gracious. He sounded shocked, and then of course, you know, he goes off to Toronto, and they have a wonderful welcome for him, and it's all good, and he goes on to do good stuff for them. But it was jarring. I mean, you know, I got to go to work. I mean, that's at the end of the day. I can't, you know, get too wrapped up in it because you got stuff to do and you got a lot coming at you.
Yeah.
You know, and,
yeah,
and
I can only
Stephen
imagine.
I felt badly for Stephen. He arrived. He was injured. He had a partially torn rotator cuff. You got Grant there. I mean, guys, when Cavus and Ed threw the door open, they're thinking, well, okay, so we get Giles, you get Grant Shaw,
And
I
a
think there
draft
was
pick.
a pick, or there might have been a draft pick, and they're like,
First
okay,
overall pick.
Tell me Bashar Livingston is in there as well. And I'm like, you know, the kid on Christmas, and they're going through the manure saying there's got to be a pony in here.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, dude, like you're not getting Bashar Livingston. There's nothing. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We got the second overall pick from Toronto, and we ended up trading that to the BC Lions. So yeah, go figure.
Wow.
And Austin Pastor. Yeah, it was a good game.
Great. Yeah. Great move.
Yeah, exactly. I remember it personally because that's when I first started talking to Dave Jameson. He had heard about me through Molly Campbell.
Yes.
Because I had been helping her whenever someone, an alumnus died, I would send her information about him and pictures and everything else, just because I didn't know if she was busy enough as it was, and I'd happen to have that kind of stuff. And then Dave reached out and said he had some boxes under his desk with some photos and things like that, and he'd love for me to go through it. I thought this was greatest. And then a few days later, they traded Ricky Ray, and yeah, the rest is history. So
yes, and here we are, many years later. And
yeah, exactly.
No, it's you know, I've said it to you guys face to face. Do it now, you know, remotely. The work you guys have done and continue to do in terms of, you know, curating the history and loving it and living the brand in the day, you know, whatever name, Elks, Eskimos, whatever, is really important stuff, and it's valued. I know I valued it when I was there. I continue as a broadcaster in the city, you know, but the work you guys do, it's it does not go unnoticed, and it does not go unappreciated. I can tell you that.
Thanks,
that's awesome.
That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. What else we got in there? Super fan to go
from
over
a great fan named Tyler Hill, if that is his real name.
I
has a question for our guest.
Okay.
Does the CFL ever pool any money for local advertising?
God.
Or have they at any point when you were there?
Well, they would run, and not that I'm aware of, and I don't, because I can't speak to the here and now, but I remember, and you guys I know when they would run a national campaign.
Right.
Join the party. Remember, join the party.
Yes.
Our balls are bigger.
Yeah.
Radically Canadian. Now, those were national brands.
Yep.
They did a rivalry campaign one year.
In the mid 2000s, where they'd have the Calgary guy and the Edmonton guy, and then they'd flip it.
But that's different than pooling. Like, that's different than going in. And because, the markets, like to buy advertising in Toronto, obviously, is a different price point than what it is in Regina and so on. And, the community-owned teams. And then when I was doing the advertising buy, you're a not-for-profit.
Right.
It's what.
Right.
So you get a preferential rate. 2-for-1 was kind of the
nice.
Get 2 spots for one you buy in radio terms or television. But I don't know. I can't imagine that they do it, but I could be wrong there. But I mean, they've had national campaigns that would roll out in print and television, obviously with TSN, but they didn't do it a lot.
All right. It's interesting. Interesting thought though, to try and bring everybody together under the same kind of banner, right? And
I mean, I still think the best campaign was "This Is Our League." I just loved
that was a great one.
The wraparound, the 3, like just gathering all of the history. And it wasn't all old dusty images and stuff. It was very fresh, and it was very, those heartstrings were being pulled hard.
Yeah,
and I thought it was
that video was so good.
It was the best in my, yes, our balls are bigger. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
join the party. I don't know what.
Radically Canadian,
radically Canadian and all that stuff. But I thought This Is Our League was. This is who we are. Chest out. We're proud. This is who we are.
The Kwongs, the Moscas, it was
it's
just so well done.
Music perfect. Guanos,
They just needed the patch. This Is Our League. Like they had the Radically Canadian patch because I loved those. Like it was so.
Yes.
You can really tell when you see that on a game worn, right? It's like, that's nice.
What else we got here? Chris Agar saying, I spoke with an alumnus just as COVID began. So it's a lifetime ago now. And the alumnus said that the comms department of the Double E went downhill when Jaimo left. You are totally missed, which I mean, say what you will about the communications team that's been there, or various teams, but you definitely noticed a difference after that. July 2012?
Yeah. Well, that's very kind. That's very kind. And, it was a big part of my life, and, the club served me well, and I hope I served them well. And, it was not to be, because I'm a military kid. I don't like when the military, things are compared to the military. That I don't like doing that stuff, but it was an honor to serve. It was really an honor to serve for the club and do that job and have that job. And, I think it worked well for both parties.
Yeah. I think a lot of it too is when you were there, it was never about you. It wasn't like you were trying to be the story. You were always just trying to support the story the best way you could, which
and I think I learned that because when your first 2 coaches are Kay Stevenson and Don Matthews, you get put in your place a lot.
lot. Don't say. Yeah.
But did Stevenson ever teach you how to get those pleats in your pants? That's the question.
Yeah, and Don is famously, I can't. Well, I don't, I don't know if I could swear in overtime or not. But,
yes, go ahead. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Well, when Gene Principe asked him at the start of a scrum, Don goes, I'm not ready. And Gene said, oh, well, we were told you were. And Don goes, so who told you? And he goes, Gene's at A Channel at this point, a young Gene Principe.
Yeah.
He goes, well, Dave Jamieson. Don goes, who the fuck is Dave Jamieson? And I'm standing just on the outside of the scrum, and I kind of went, yeah, okay.
Did you
Yeah, Don could see me, he had the sunglasses on top of the hat and stuff. And I just thought, yep, there you go. That's the fastball right on the letters. But I love Don, but Don quickly told you, kind of where he said, just because you work in football doesn't know you know a goddamn thing about it. And I went, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Probably right, Coach.
It is the Don. Yeah,
absolutely.
It is. Although Jaimo, you said earlier, like you're season ticket holder again. What does it feel like now to be a fan when you're, because again, you're going in now, you've seen the, the 62,000 people, you see the less people now, but how is it to just go in and cheer and not really have any pressure other than to just enjoy it?
It's sort of life affirming, like I've had a really tough year. And so to go, as I did with my daughter, to, God, what game was it? It was Calgary. Actually, it was, sorry, preseason game.
Okay.
Right. The Ukrainian one.
And yeah, and which was wonderful. That halftime, the pregame and all that stuff looked beautiful. And just to go and sit in, we were in the alumni room doing stuff, and then we went up to the seats. Nice night. Stadium looked great. So bright and colorful, and I didn't get to enjoy much of that. Like I'd be in the press box and I'd be running down to check on why so-and-so is being carted off. This is
right.
And being, oh, look, that banner's out of place, and doing that sort of stuff. Or why is there an issue in the Ched booth? They need a technician or whatever it was. And you didn't get to sort of just enjoy and looking around at seeing people enjoying themselves. Because you're so busy, excuse me, sweating the small stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess,
and the big stuff. I'm sorry, but that was just sort of the and to go and just kind of put, enjoy a beer or not, or have a mini donut and just sit and kind of look out over the crowd and go, damn, I never like it up high.
Yeah,
I really like that. To me, you go to Commonwealth Stadium on a nice night and you're sitting up high and you get that look of the view of the field. It's pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. Now, when you say high, are you talking like row 60? You talking row 80?
I should have my tickets somewhere. Let me just see if I pull them up. No. I mean, not like the high.
It's going to be like, wow.
Deck. It's upper deck, and it's I think that I just don't have them in front of me. Anyhow, all of that said, it's I just love the vantage point. I just think it's a really cool look at a stadium that is, I mean, would you like 35,000 that's tight, you're right on the field? Yeah, that might be,
sure,
very cool.
Yeah.
But and looking out over the city, yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's still crazy to me that it was only 13 years ago we got that 62,000 whatever it was against Saskatchewan in 2009.
I know.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely crazy that it was that recent, all things considered.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about, I mean, they're calling it 21,000 tickets sold or given away or whatever.
Sure.
But bums in seats, I mean, I can't imagine that we've had any 20,000 games this season or probably last season.
Yeah.
That's the unsettling thing. I mean, I will remain optimistic until I'm given evidence that I shouldn't be.
Right.
But it's that's unsettling to see those kind of crowds for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then they're talking a bit about Terry Ray getting cut. How much it was a gut punch. Yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan at the time, and I still am. I thought Terry. I mean, I think that was one of the greatest trios that we had of linebackers, with Singor Mobley, AJ Gass, and Terry Ray. It was just like they were unstoppable at that point. And we've had some pretty outstanding linebacking cores. But oftentimes it's one incredible guy. As much as I love Dale Potter and Tom Towns, it was Dan Kepley that was the straw that stirred that drink, right? Even, and then Willie Pless and everything else. But those three, it just seemed like all three were just as important as each other in that group, and it was just outstanding. There we go. Tim Capper's actually seen Ray's first professional game in AF2.
Oh, really?
Wow. That'd be wild.
Wow.
That would be something for sure. I've got some great footage like that, but none of that stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris,
he was the Fresno Frenzy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
The Fresno Frenzy, the Ricky Ray from Happy Camp. Like, this is all a Disney movie, isn't it?
Oh,
it is.
100%.
Like it's gotta be. Like you think
That's
those are
why
all
we
made
said
things.
it's a Lifetime Channel movie
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
about a young boy who grows up to be a professional quarterback. And it
And wins
actually
the
happened.
most Grey Cups as a starter ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Wow, we'll take it. Is some stuff from Ken Ludwig, who was at practice. Apparently, Deron Carter. I think he said Deron was practicing with the A team, and
Okay.
he was returning punts today at practice.
Okay.
Returning punts as well.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Which he's done.
Could
Right?
you imagine if Deron Carter is the first guy to get a kick return for us in 7 years?
Well, Chris says he's bringing the scissors just in case.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. That's
Good luck getting those in there.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
They were.
Jaimo, I'll have to show you a picture of Chris later. He's got very long, thick
good hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a metal boy, so I tell you.
Nice.
People are talking about Coach Vic says that the day that Ray was traded was likened to the Gretzky trade, and absolutely. I mean, like Andrew says, I remember exactly where I was when I heard the news that this had happened, and it was just like, how is that possible? Much like when Gretzky was traded, it's like, but that isn't possible.
There were people crying in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was we're in the new building, so it's not as intimate, obviously, as the old one. So you had to kind of get up and walk around, and but there were people just shell shocked,
right?
Just shell shocked that this had happened.
Yep, that's crazy.
And then to go to Grey Cup that same year and then see Ricky Ray hoist the Grey Cup one more time.
Yeah.
That was another gut punch right there. I mean, because we knew it was going to happen. Like,
right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he was going to get there. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else in there, super fan?
Let me go there. CFL Pod Family.
Oh, yes, it is. Absolutely, it is.
Chris Agar. Oh, crap. Deron Carter is going to make me have short hair.
Chris, it can be done. I don't have good hair, but it can be done.
Yeah.
And Andrew's,
I was going to say, hey, it looks fine. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. It's exactly. Yeah. What was it? What did you call the Jantlers again? What did we name? I can't remember. That was so far back.
Like and subscribe.
There you go. That's right.
Like and subscribe. Yeah.
That's right. It's important to have those.
Hey, I played a gig once when I was more a musician back in the day, and our singer there was a long instrumental break in the middle of a song, and he pulled out some clippers and shaved his head on stage. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all anyone talked about.
Early Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like Foxtrot, Genesis, that kind of stuff.
Oh, see, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, exactly. It's that prog rock crap.
You got it.
Okay, yeah, good.
Brilliance is the word you were looking for. Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now.
Show.
I think we've come to the end of the questions for sure. So
okay,
fantastic. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Dave, thank you again for all of your time. Outstanding chat, and it's always fun to have you on for stories and a football perspective. So
thank you, boys.
Again, we're so glad that you're doing better enough to be able to do this, and hope we get to see you at a game one of these days.
Well, you will. Yeah, I will slide by either out to tailgate. I can't eat much of what you guys serve yet.
That's
unless
fair.
You're doing yogurt smoothies and stuff.
Right.
But those should never be in a tailgate. Or west of us, I'll swing over there and see you, give you a big hug. But
that'd be
thank
awesome.
you. And I know in your community, I got lots of nice notes from people and kind notes from you guys, and all of that stuff really mattered. The football family was really reached out to me, and I gotta tell you, man, when you're going through stuff like I went through, it all added up, and it really made me feel very warm and supported, and that means a great deal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I 100% agree. And But yeah, thank you so much, Dave. It's awesome to have you. So we will see you soon at a game, and thank you to everyone for joining us on YouTube and being part of the overtime chat and the show. As always, make sure you download the show and share that with all of your friends, and like Mike says, like and subscribe, and make sure that we get that out to have more people join the huddle. Thanks so much for joining us. For Dave and Commissioner K and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely see you on Friday at the game.